Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Today's warehouse needs to keep inventory moving smoothly and quickly. Meet these challenges with on-demand warehouse labeling from Brother Mobile Solutions. Our mobile and industrial printers will help optimize your operations to achieve the speed, reliability, and durability your warehouse needs. With easy integration for existing warehouse technology, convenient portability, and upfront affordability, Brother Mobile Solutions is at your side when it comes to warehouse labeling. Try one for free today by visiting brothermobilesolutions.com/new warehouse or click the link in the show notes. That's brothermobilesolutions.com/new warehouse to try one for free today.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Lawton. I'm here with the New Warehouse Podcast. We're in Rajant's booth at ProMat 2023. We're going to have a little panel discussion here about Kinetic Mesh Networking. So I'm going to introduce my panelists first. So let's go around the table. So Allie Walker from Gray Solutions. Why don't you give us a little intro of what it is you guys do?
Yeah, so my name's Allie Walker. So what we do for Gray, we're an integrator. So we do everything that's in the four walls of a building, everything from raw material out the building and in the cloud and everything in between. So.
All right, pretty much everything.
We do everything. Yep.
Okay, all right, cool. And Todd's with Rajant, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Todd Rigby with Rajant. Rajant is the manufacturer of Kinetic Mesh Networks.
Right.
We provide mission-critical communications to a laundry list of industry verticals. Mm-hmm. People come to us when they have data problems. So we like to say we fix Wi-Fi and we fix LTE problems.
Right. Okay. All right. Interesting. And then we have Robert here. So Robert, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Hi, I'm Rob Sheik. I'm the COO of Uvify. Mm-hmm. We are the world's #1 manufacturer of swarm drones.
Okay.
We operate in several areas, entertainment, also in industrial. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
All right. Thank you, Robert. And Eric?
Hi, Eric Rongley, CEO of Prime Robotics. We make robots for warehouses and factories, from ASRSs, deep storage pallets, to piece-picking robots.
All right, great. And it's great to have you all on the panel today for this discussion to talk about Kinetic Mesh Networking here. But I think before we go any further, I think we need to establish, I guess, what is Kinetic Mesh Networking? So Todd, I think you're going to help us out there from Rajant. Tell us a little bit about Kinetic Mesh Networking and what it is that Rajant does.
So Rajant builds a proprietary network called Kinetic Mesh.
Okay.
The word kinetic is associated with mobility. Mm-hmm. Mobility is definitely harder to maintain reliable communications with as opposed to static or fixed networks.
Right.
We handle static or mobile networks equally as well. It has to do with the foundation of our network, which is based on every radio and every node having many active connections. Mm-hmm. So unlike a lot of other networks you might be familiar with, like Wi-Fi or LTE,
right,
which are parent-child type architectures, Rajant's a true peer-to-peer architecture where any node can talk to any other node, and every radio in that node can establish and maintain many active connections.
Right.
Another interesting fact is that Rajant breadcrumbs are always in seek mode. So at a rate faster than 100 times per second, they're looking for new connections. The act of adding connections and dropping connections is completely independent. Unlike Wi-Fi, you have to drop the connection before you make a new connection.
Right.
We're not about drop connections. We're about continuous connectivity. We've essentially done away with the handoff and done away with the dropouts. Because if you don't have reliable comms, you're not getting full value out of your investment in applications, in robotics, in warehouse management systems. Those are all dependent on having all the data all the time. If you lose some of the data, you lose a big chunk of your ROI.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such a huge factor, being able to maintain that connectivity and keep it going for your business. And I'm curious, and Todd, you can answer this. Actually, the group could probably answer this. I mean, in the material handling industry, which is, what ProMat is all about, this show that we're at, right? I mean, how has connectivity just become just so important for material handling?
Well, unfortunately, Amazon ruined the industry for everyone. And they ruined it because it gave every single consumer the expectation that you should know where your order is at any moment in time, and not only know where it is, but know exactly where it is and when it's going to get to you.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all based on data and tracking every step of the way. And all that data and tracking requires reliable connectivity at every point in the delivery process, starting with manufacturing all the way to delivery.
Yeah, very true. And obviously, you say Amazon has ruined our industry, but they've also, I think, maybe pushed our industry forward too.
That's totally tongue-in-cheek. I mean,
I got you. I'm not offended. I don't work for Amazon.
I'm a huge fan of the service delivery that Amazon gives.
Yeah.
And I was being sarcastic and facetious when I said they ruined the industry.
Yeah.
They've changed the way everybody looks at logistics, and now there's just higher expectations from every customer and every business. We want everything to work like Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know my son, too. He's always asking me, he's 10 stops away, when's it going to get here, right? Especially from Amazon. So do you guys have any thoughts you want to add in terms of the importance of connectivity in material handling or in the space that you're dealing in?
I mean, I think with us, we're in everything from massive greenfield to a brownfield, right? And in an older location, maybe they don't have the infrastructure in place where they think, we need an AMR here to go from A to B, but we don't know if it's going to work. Does the network work? But with Rajant and using what they have with the mesh network, it enables them to use the AMR, the HEV that is required for that handoff and the transport. Because if not, then you have to look at, do we need to maybe have a tunnel or to build a different building to accommodate the need of the customer. So.
All right, interesting. And how about in the robotic space, what you guys are doing with the drones and the robots themselves? Why is connectivity so important for the both of you to be able to have that connectivity to make sure that what you're putting out there is functioning properly when it needs to?
So, as you know, robots are an asset, so you want to have them operating as much as possible with minimal downtime. And so connectivity plays a key role in ensuring that you are able to utilize your asset to the maximum.
Eric, you want to?
Yeah, for our robots within a warehouse, you've got a high-density environment with robots that are moving very quickly, very close to each other.
Right. And
so the latency of communication between the server that's controlling the traffic and the robots that are obeying the commands is very important. And dropouts could lead to pallets crashing and potentially humans getting hurt. We came into contact with Rajant. We're building what's called an ASRS, so it's a rack, multi-level rack system with robots running within the rack, and that has a special challenge. All of the metal and when we're moving liquids around creates a lot of interference. So whereas on the floor perhaps a Wi-Fi network would be sufficient, but within this rack there's so much interference that the continuous connectivity makes a big difference.
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Step, step, step. Do you know how many steps your warehouse workers are taking a day? When your workers are walking, you're losing money. Endless trips to the printer or computer add up fast. Newcastle's mobile industrial carts with integrated power eliminate the walking to stationary printers and computers, keeping workers focused on high-value tasks, often doubling their output. Thousands of powered cart installations, including ones at the new warehouse's own micro-fulfillment center and in my previous jobs, prove that Newcastle customers get more done and save money. To learn more, head to newcastlesys.com. That's newcastlesys.com. Very interesting, and I'm curious. And obviously with the ASRS solution, I mean it's incredibly dense, right? So I can see the impact there. Just like if you have a warehouse and you add some additional racking or something, right? It creates a blockage for that connectivity to happen. So I guess tell us a little bit about how you kind of decided to go with Rajant as your option for that connectivity. What advantage was there to be able to do that, and why did you ultimately decide to let's utilize Rajant and make this happen for our solution? Eric or Rahul?
Yeah, for us, we were evaluating several different options. We were evaluating LTE, which was bloody expensive,
right,
and I don't believe would be any better at connectivity. We had contacted a couple different mesh companies, and we found that the expertise at Rajant was very high, that their engineers could help us deciding even what kind of antenna to install in the robot, not just their, selling us their network equipment, but helping us choose the right configuration, how to make the robot so the signals could get in. So we found them to be very consultative.
All right, great. And when you implemented the Rajant solution, I mean, did you see a lot of improvement in that connectivity from that point on?
Well, with the ASRS, this is our first time doing it. So our customer had bad experience with Wi-Fi before, so they were pushing us to get an alternative. But here at ProMat, I tell you the difference. Last year we came to the show with our robots, and we're running a Wi-Fi network on the floor, and there are so many companies here all broadcasting Wi-Fi that even though the access point was 15 feet away from the robot, we were losing signal constantly. And this year, Rajant helped us, and we've put their system in even our ground robots here, and we've had very reliable connections with very low ping times. So it's proven to be a good solution in this very noisy environment.
Yeah, I can imagine too. It's interesting that you pointed out, at the show, because I guess everybody is pulling on this Wi-Fi, right? So it's great that you guys are able to utilize the Rajant technology even on site here and have that better demo, I guess, and better show off, right? Rob, what about on your side with the aerial drones?
Yeah, I would say that if you compare to the Kinetic Mesh to the traditional mesh is not optimized for robotics. So whereas Kinetic Mesh, because it moves, it's more efficient for robotics, especially swarms, because it's based on movement. So and I think that's where we find the solution that Rajant provides to be the best out there.
Okay, all right, great to know. Yeah, Todd, sure.
I was just going to say, from technically what's happening with Wi-Fi mesh versus Rajant's Kinetic Mesh, the weakness is the connection between the Wi-Fi client and the access point. The Wi-Fi protocol limits the client to have a single connection to a single access point. And as you move away from that access point, your signal becomes weaker, your throughput becomes less.
Right.
And by having only a single connection, it's very susceptible to interference. And it's manifested in, dropped packets, it's manifested in lost connections.
Right.
Rajant basically peels the onion a completely different way. We allow any radio and any breadcrumb to connect to any other matching radio and any other breadcrumb that it can see. So by having lots of connections and intelligence in a breadcrumb that can monitor the quality of all those connections and make routing decisions as rapidly as a packet by packet basis, you essentially have a network that's continuously self-optimizing both routes and configuration to optimize the data flow.
Right.
So, that's technology that doesn't exist in any Wi-Fi product. It's technology that doesn't exist in any LTE product. I mean, those are set up and forget it and cross your fingers and hope it works and hope that the conditions don't change to interrupt the communications. By having a self-optimizing network, it can easily adapt to changing operational and environmental conditions to deliver the highest quality solution.
Yeah, and I think that's such a key, especially for our space when, especially, you pointed out Amazon has pushed us all to go faster and harder, right? And any downtime at all in our industry is critical. Lost time, right? And lost productivity and, a couple minutes, couple seconds could lead to a couple hundred orders maybe not getting out the door that day and pushing it to the lateness, right? So being able to have that in our material handling industry is very critical to be able to stay up and stay connected and not have those drop points that you're talking about in all different types of conditions. So it's very interesting the technologies you brought to the table here, and we see it from the solution side of how they're able to utilize that to make sure that their solutions are up and running all the time. But I'm curious from Allie's perspective as the integrator, you're working with multiple solutions and bringing different systems into the folds. What is your experience with the Kinetic Mesh from Rajant, and how is that kind of translating to your clients when you're doing these integrations with them and really benefiting them?
Sure. At the end of the day, right, everyone wants the product out the door because they all make money and the end user's happy, right? We're an agnostic integrator, so we'll work with any robot OEM, any AGV, any AMR, we don't care. We just want the right solution for the customer, right? Around peg and around hole. And so what's been really attractive with Rajant is that it allows them, again, with the ROI that we mentioned earlier, it is an investment using the Kinetic Mesh, right? But if you're not able to utilize the investment in advanced automation to make the facility run and get the product out the door, you're going to recognize that ROI very quickly if your line's down or if it isn't. If the line's down, that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars or a lot of money in an hour or two. But if you would have had an investment in Rajant, then you're going to recognize that really fast. So
that's good.
At the end of the day, they just allow us, with the automation that we implement in these facilities, these massive plants, to work, and they're always up. And so the customer can recognize the value not only on the product, but on the automation and the investment that they've committed to.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think those are great points, right? That lost time, the loss equals, lost money, like you said, right?
Right. I mean, and it is an investment. The automation's an investment, but the networking is too, right? But you can't really have one without the other anymore. And a lot of folks, they want to be lights out. And I think you all just launched a new light, right? Which is it's awesome. It allows these end users and the customers to have lights out operations if they want, with the networking to support it.
Yeah, definitely, and it's great to have that connectivity all the way through. We've been stressing here, but as we talk about connectivity, and obviously, we look at ProMat here, right? I mean, just if we look around us, right, we see all types of solutions that need to be connected all the time, right? So that connection is becoming more and more important in material handling as we look at it. But also, we're here at ProMat, so we look to kind of the future as well of the industry and what's happening there. So I'm curious, maybe from Allie's perspective, actually, with your clients, I mean, are you seeing more demand from clients on certain connectivity, or what are they looking for, like in the future, to be able to make sure that they're staying connected in that way?
Right. I mean, so a lot of folks are asking us to help them to automate an existing location, or it's a greenfield, right? The ones that have the older facilities in the infrastructure, they don't always have, it's not like a greenfield where you can say, we can implement anything and it'll work because we can design around the automation. When it's a brownfield, right, and they're from the 1950s or the 40s, there's a little more noise, right? So it's hard to navigate, but with Rajant, they enable us to implement that the automation that they need, regardless of the existing infrastructure.
Okay, all right, very interesting. And yeah, I mean, I think, like, as you said, as we continue to grow, and we're seeing more companies try to take existing buildings, right, and
Right.
upgrade them, and yeah.
Well, and labor is a huge obstacle right now. So
Right.
they have to automate it. It isn't if, it's when, right? It's inevitable. So using Rajant allows them to implement that and not be down, and again recognize the investment on the automation that they have to have.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I'm curious from the robotics side over here. I mean, Rob, what are you seeing in terms of like future connectivity, and what's important to you as a solution provider to be able to ensure that you're having connectivity with new versions of your solutions?
So what we're seeing is we focus really on swarm operations.
Yeah.
So we run up to like 1,500 drones simultaneously, and we're deploying swarm technologies across different industries. As the number of robots increases, we see greater demand for accuracy and precision, and so that's where we think there's a real need for solutions such as the Rajant Kinetic Mesh with increasing complexity of systems and increasing numbers of robots operating simultaneously. And so we think that that's a very exciting time, and we're delighted that Rajant has provided this solution to facilitate the growth in the industry.
All right, great. Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I mean, especially like when you said you're operating 1,500 drones at the same time. I mean, that's a lot of things that need to be connected at the same time and need to feed off each other. So very interesting. And Eric, what about from your side? How are you guys looking at? I know you're coming out with this ASRS solution, and you're utilizing your Rajant Kinetic Mesh Network already to improve it. But as you look to forward and to new iterations and things of that nature and new solutions, how are you ensuring that you're maintaining that connectivity as you continue to improve?
So for now, latency is our biggest concern. The data packets that we're passing between the robots and the server are not large, with one exception. And as we start having more deployments, we are doing active support for our customers. So we don't just wait till they have a problem and submit a ticket to us.
Right.
In our control center, people are watching the floor for all of our customers. And when a robot has a problem, they will dive into that robot and maybe connect into the camera that's looking at the floor and see what it's looking at, or look at the forward camera and see what is that object. And at those moments, that's when we, in our existing implementations, will find that the network suddenly chokes because the video stream coming off of that device may not be optimized for a network like this. And so having a strong network should lead to better support for us over time. And ultimately, customers, and Amazon can have an army of PhDs to keep their robots working, but other people just need it to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're beating up Amazon today, I guess. I don't know, but which is no problem. I mean, I think that's a great point there at the end because, especially now as automation and robotics and all these things are becoming more accessible, right, to small and medium-sized businesses in order to keep up with what Todd pointed out in the beginning, having that kind of on demand and needing something to be quicker and then that visibility. In order for these small to medium-sized businesses to compete, they need to be able to adopt these things and have that connectivity. And like you said, having downtime in between there it's not going to work. So we need to be able to help them. So I think we've kind of heard what the demand is for the future here. So Todd, are you going to be able to match that demand and keep it up at Rajant?
Absolutely. Rajant was founded back in 2002. I had the fortunate opportunity to become their first reseller in 2005.
Okay.
And I've been a Rajant employee since 2012. And so I've gotten to see a lot of iterations of Rajant gear. And the interesting thing is the foundational firmware that runs on the breadcrumb has always been the same. And it just keeps getting better and better and better. Which, unlike, a computer or a smartphone, when you buy it and 6 months later it's not working quite as well, breadcrumbs actually improve their performance and capability over time as we add new features and capabilities into the firmware. Rajant is also unique among all wireless providers in that we guarantee compatibility between generations of equipment. What that means, if we ever have to end of life a model, we don't force our customers to rip and replace all the equipment they own. They can just simply start buying the new model and it'll integrate directly with their equipment.
Oh, okay.
But Rajant is very much forward-thinking. All new models always are better, more capable, higher throughput, faster, because the demands are ever increasing from the application providers. And so it's a great business to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, there's going to be business there for a long time. We look around, all these things that need to be connected. So it's great to learn about Rajant, not only from the Rajant perspective, but also from the customer perspective, and how everybody here is utilizing your services and your products to be able to maintain that connection in the material handling industry and make sure that we are able to, stay connected, not have that downtime, and not have those disappointed consumers. So why don't we give a chance for everybody to, give some information about their company. So Eric, if people want to find more out about Prime Robotics, how can they do that?
So obviously you could hit our website, www.primerobotics.com, and we're a U.S. manufacturer and make our robots in Denver.
All right, great. And Rob, how about you?
Our website's uvify.com. That's uvify.com. We're based in Seattle. We manufacture in South Korea.
Okay. Great. And go to Ali, Gray Solutions.
So Gray Solutions, we're headquartered in Lexington, Kentucky. We have hubs all across North America and in the globe. But we have our website, LinkedIn. So I'm on there too if you guys need any help. So just reach out to me.
Cool. All right. And the grand finale, Todd, Rajant, we're at your booth. How can people find out more information about Rajant, because now they want to be connected and strong?
Rajant.com, Rajant. We have a huge library of videos on YouTube. You can find us on LinkedIn, and we exhibit at most of the major shows. And we've had a really great experience at ProMat this year, and I'm sure we'll be back next year.
All right, great. And we'll definitely put all that information for everybody at thenewwarehouse.com as well, so they can easily find it. So thank you guys for joining me here in the Rajant's booth at ProMat 2023. It's great to talk to you all about this, and I think now it's time for some bourbon, right?
Sounds good.
Thanks, Kevin.
Right.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.